Everybody's Durger time. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of the Wednesday Night War. So this was tough. This was supposed to come out, last Thursday. And we're on, when I'm posting this, I'm thinking this is going to be, Sunday? I'm recording this middle of the night on Saturday, finally getting this all wrapped up. So I'll give you a quick rundown of what had happened. We originally were redoing the database, and all I was doing was I wanted to basically kind of fix some things. I noticed that after the first episode, I was going through the roster of AEW, and there were some issues, some major issues, some ones I basically didn't notice. So one of the primary problems were everybody on the roster, for the most part. Literally everybody was pay per appearance. Now some people still are referees and things like that. But I basically had to go through and redo, pretty much everybody. Now some people still are by nature of what their contracts are. So we look at something like, Pentagon here. So Pentagon Jr.'s, contract, he's in CMLL right now. He's in AAA, and AEW, and he can't really quite just be put to a written because with the way this game works, it doesn't have region preference. So in the real world, obviously he is still in AAA, but basically he has a national written contract where basically can only appear broadcast in America or in the North American region, I guess, as him on AEW, but if he went overseas or he went out of the country, he could still perform. And obviously he has an alliance with AAA, but that's basically how that is running. And we couldn't really do much for him, but everybody was. Kenny, Pac, and I know Pac technically is in Dragon Gate still, but the general idea was that he's pretty much exclusive at this point. So I wanted to make sure everyone was written, to make sure they kept him. Oh, also Rio wasn't even on the roster yet for some reason. Not sure why. But I wanted to make sure that they couldn't just be stolen away from me easily. We could always do a gentleman's agreement, I suppose, but it would seem really silly, I guess, to kind of go through that process and deny myself the ability to steal their talent. Now, for the most part, I'm not going to actively be going after theirs unless they do something to me. I'm going to be kind of trying to grow my own brand and trying to fight them, I guess, clean, despite the fact that we do have those dirty tricks that we can do in our relationship grid here. Because since we have a outright war going on, we can do some dirty tricks to do some stuff, plant stories, things like that, openly mock sponsorship snipes and things like that. Totally doable. Totally something that we could do. We might not, it might not be something we're actively focusing on yet, but it might be something we do down the line. So that was the first main focus, was kind of rebuilding that database. The other problem that came down is I actually filmed a whole other episode and went through the whole process, and then basically my recording software just completely crashed on me. The video files were completely unrecoverable. They were corrupted. It was a nightmare. So I had to go and rebuild the database again to go back to do this. It sucked, but we're here. So what we're at is basically just a little bit of a delay, nothing that you guys had to see on this end, and we're basically going to redo that episode. And I have maybe just a slight advantage that I kind of know what worked and what didn't work, and hopefully we can make some of those corrections. Now, I was getting some feedback from you guys in the comments that, obviously it might be a maybe easier challenge than I'm anticipating. The AI's booking will not be the best, and in which case we might start to run away after we kind of get a rhythm going. And some of the people suggested that, it would be a great idea to have some people booking AEW. Something I am actively looking at, so I'm kind of talking to a few people, seeing if they might be interested. The issue is consistency. Not a lot of people that I know are wanting to do it basically weekly. So it might be a tag in, tag out if it's something that we do. Talking to a few people I know personally that might be interested a little bit. Not really quite sure if that will pan out. But once, you can always set a second player in a save, but once you do, you can never remove them. So once we're there, we're kind of pot committed to booking. And what might happen is I might have to book AEW against myself if I can't find somebody. So that's sort of the turnaround on that situation that might be interesting, actually, in a weird way, because I wouldn't cheat. I would actively try to gun and kill myself, essentially. As you know from my saves, nobody is the bigger or worst enemy for me than myself. So certainly that would be something that would not change. But let me know in the comments if you think that's okay. Otherwise, I was thinking of even doing like a play-by-wire scenario that maybe a few people would be able to basically give me their bookings, not necessarily play live, but just give me some of their booking suggestions, and I would take them, and every week we would kind of change it up and have some rules. Well, let me know. Kind of workshop it for me. What are you guys interested in seeing in terms of the long term for the save, especially if I start to kind of run away with NXT, and I seem to be kind of champing and beating down the AI, which I don't think will happen right now, but it might be something that will happen down the line. Let me know. So, where are we right now? We're 6 days away from NXT Live, week 2 of October, so the second real NXT show for us. Now, we do have a pay-per-view scheduled week 1 of November, which I specifically set to, I think, be Full Gear. That was the other thing I had to add. I had to add Full Gear to AEW's schedule. Now, with the way the AI books, I think it's going to just spin out its own weird random pay-per-views. So I don't know how we're going to handle that, because NXT typically does, I think, 4 or 6 a year for pay-per-views, if I'm not wrong. It's like one in December, one in November, one in August. So it was every other month, so 6, I think, roughly. So they do 6 pay-per-views every other month. But with the way the AI is going to go, it could just do one every month, in which case we have to make a decision of whether we go up against that and go head-to-head each month, or whether we stick with our pay-per-views. Now, we wouldn't be judged against the pay-per-views if we don't run them as shows, so they wouldn't affect our bar up at the top of the screen, but it could have a very dramatic impact on their popularity, because they're going to get a lot of pay-per-views, a lot of viewership, and more money, and that might help them out in the long run. So we'll have to kind of see as it goes what we want to do and how we want to handle that. I have a suspicion we'll have to end up doing monthly pay-per-views, which I really don't want to do, because I am a big believer in 6 pay-per-views a year being more than adequate for a wrestling show, but we might be beholden to what they do. So we have 6 days to go, and I did do some preliminary hiring, which I don't really want to spoil. Just a few small things. I'm limiting myself to just a couple hires an episode at most. It's sort of more of a gentleman's agreement. I just don't really want to run away, because technically if I went out here, I could just start grabbing everybody. Really, the way some of these things are booked, how many people could I hire right now in New Japan, for example, to hire some people? I could grab Sabre, I could grab Tonga and Tama and Tongaloa, I could grab Kenta back, I can grab Juice Robinson back, Jay White. Pretty much the only people that I can't quite get are, immediately at least, are the people that you would expect to be the top of their card. So I can't get, Okada is written. I wonder how long he's written. And he's also loyal. Don't even know what his contract is right now, but that's kind of not going to happen. But we could just really raid everything, and we're not going to do that. At least not yet. We might be something we go into, but for the most part, I just want to do a few hiring, some people that I think would be good additions to the team. And I've gotten some of them aboard already, so we're just kind of waiting for the rest to come in. And just a few people, some personal favorites of mine. And other than that, we're going to basically stay the course. We kind of have our storylines focused. We have a couple things going on. Not a lot, about 4 or 5, or maybe 6 when another of the new people come in. But we're going to see how that plays out and how we can balance it. And again, the big thing about our roster right now is just dealing with a heavy, saturated lower card that's not going to help us. And maybe, we have so many road agents. Holy crap. Why do we have so many road agents? It's crazy. It's really nuts. Only 3 referees. We got 15 freaking road agents. A little bit a lot, guys. I don't think we need that many. But our openers are, let's say, weaker. And we definitely have an okay upper card. But again, what we were talking about before is, like, who's on this card? Okay, Adam Cole, sure. Balor is leagues better than Cole, right? We saw that in performance last week. Gargano, we haven't really tested him yet in the game, so we don't know where he is. It's interesting that he's heel here. We have to change that. Dash and Dawson, who should really just be kind of upper mid-carders, are already main eventers on here. Xavier Woods, who probably would be considered like a valet or a lower mid-carder on the main show, is a main eventer for us. Bray Wyatt, makes sense, and Zack Ryder as a main eventer is interesting. Issues there, just in terms of the talent gap. If that's the case, I worry about our upper mid card, right? I mean, could be bad. Could be really bad. We don't really know how they stack up, and that's definitely going to be affecting us every step of the way in terms of booking. So something we have to really focus on. All right, let's get on with the show. Enough of droning about the problems and the forecast. Let's book a freaking NXT episode, and let's see how it stacks against AEW Night 2. Okay, so we are back. We gotta put ourselves, have the NXT Full Sail Arena. Might have a different name from the last save. I don't quite remember, but basically same idea. Gonna give ourselves a little bit of a bigger location to run the shows in, because just 300 people is not going to do it, especially when we're expecting about 3,800. It's simply not gonna work for us. 100% backstage rating still, and nothing really negative going on here. So we could probably just try to build a relationship. Sure. No effect. It's weird having a rating so high. I'm not really used to that. So nothing crazy happening. We just gotta book it. So we gotta be careful and really balance who we're putting on the show, without oversaturating our main stars, because obviously they will be upset if they're left off over time. We don't have to be super worried about lower card, but when we get up to the upper card, we might have a problem. I also want to see where people are in terms of chemistry. I don't really have any analysis of that, so I might be booking a couple pre-shows, maybe just to hype people up, mostly just to test out some of their dynamics and see if they have any chemistry, or even just where they're rated without having it necessarily affect us. One of the advantages of NXT as a show is prior to being live, it didn't really matter. It was taped. Things sucked. They didn't have to worry about it. And just like them right now, we have to worry about every single match we put on because it's being broadcast and put head to head. So unfortunate. Now, I'm pretty sure, because I never really do pre-shows or post-shows, I'm pretty sure that this hour optional for segments doesn't affect our rating. But if I'm wrong, please let me know, because I don't want to necessarily jeopardize ourselves in the future. We lost that first night. We don't have any McMahon meddlings, but we're probably going to lose this night too. But we don't want to go crazy in terms of letting losses sink in this situation, because we could very quickly become overwhelmed and behind, and who knows when that wheel will land on McMahon and us have to endure some bad booking decisions. So let's go ahead, let's book the show. We'll be back, and hopefully it stacks up. All right, guys, we are back. We got exactly, I think, 120 minutes, so right on TV time, minus commercials, obviously. And we have a couple pre-shows. So mostly what we're using these pre-shows for is just to kind of see where some of that lower mid-card is. I want to see where they stack up in terms of talent before I start integrating them onto the show. Now, I think because it's a TV show, people are a little bit more willing to not be on the show and be left off. I'm not positive about that. Otherwise, we're going to have a hell of a time, because we have so much talent that we might have to just look at maybe moving them to the UK or something like that. I don't know. Let's go ahead and take a look at the show. So, just seeing where they are. And it's not great. So it's a pre-show about terrible wrestling, non-existent crowd heat. Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir defeat Chelsea Green and Casey Catanzaro in 7 minutes. Now, I think Casey is the American Ninja Warrior winner, I think. I'm not positive. I don't think I've seen her on TV yet. I don't think she has any TV time. So I was kind of curious to see how she did. Actually, honestly, not horrible. 40, she's as good as Marina Shafir, at least. Though these numbers aren't fantastic. And I'm a little concerned just because they're going to lower down our rating immensely. And I kind of wanted to do something with the four horsewomen here, and it's kind of a bummer that they're dragging down the process here. Maybe we'll do limited involvement with one next week and see how that shapes up, but I wanted to kind of do something and build to something, and I'm not comfortable right now doing that. Good news, they're all improving their performance skills, which is good. Maybe we'll also try to get when Sasha's back on the roster, we'll try to get them maybe with like a mentorship or something, or maybe they'll just develop faster. We'll see. This is okay. Subpar wrestling, little heat. Damian Priest and Shane Thorne defeat Dominic Dijakovic and Keith Lee in 9 minutes. Again, just kind of trying to see where they are. Keith Lee is the best of the bunch. Priest not far behind. Formerly Punishment Martinez at Ring of Honor. Kind of where I thought he would be. I kind of expected him to be a little bit higher up in terms of performance. Not that he was really necessarily a great wrestler, but just thought that maybe he would be at a 55 or higher or something like that. Keith Lee's not bad, though. Shane Thorne's okay. So we might be able to use these guys for something. I was thinking maybe Damon Priest be a good mid-card gatekeeper that we could use. Certainly seems like we could do something with him. Yes, I do want to do that. I also was changing his gimmick. He had a below average for badass, so we're going to switch it out to extremist. Well, it's didn't go anywhere. So apparently just the gimmick's not quite his thing. Something we'll have to deal with. Now, we do start the show. Triple H comes out. It's kind of a cheap pop, but I'm just going to do it every time. Just have Triple H as an authority figure coming out to pop the crowd. It's cheap. It's the cheapest pop I can get, but it works, and sue me, I guess. What are you going to do? I want to get that crowd hot and fast, and Triple H is the easy way to do it for time being, and he's free, so who cares? So Triple H opens the show. He announces a women's championship match tonight, which means that Io Shirai, who won a number one contenders contest in night one, will be fighting Shayna Baszler tonight for the chance to become the new NXT women's champion. It's okay. B+. Not much to say. Pretty good. Afterwards, we have a announcer's commentary segment, just saying that we're also going to be seeing Finn in action tonight in our main event, taking on a returning Tyler Breeze. It's about what you would expect, both in terms of overness. C- is more than enough for us. No, we are fine with that. So we start off the show. Oh, man. Holy crap. We start off the show with Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan coming out to their music, coming down to the ring to fight some opponents. But before their opponents come out, the lights go dark. And when they go back up, Bray Wyatt in his Fiend mask is there, running roughshod over the NXT universe. He proceeds to have a match because for some reason, whenever there's a ref around, a match can start and it'd be officiated, so we will go with it. It's okay. Yeah, D+, not horrible. Bray's at a 67, Oni and Danny are a lower 40 and 33 respectively. Danny Burch is improving in performance skills, which is nice. It's just a quick squash, 4 minutes, handicap 2-on-1, just to build him as a threat to the audience. He's Sister Abigail's Oney Lorcan, and then proceeds to pummel him more and more as Danny Burch kind of is able to slink away. Oni starts taking the punishment, and as he's doing so, Finn Balor runs out to confront him to try to get the save. Before Lorcan is about to get Sister Abigail'd again, the Fiend freezes to look at Balor, drops Lorcan down, and they stare face to face. And before it could go to blows, the lights go out, and when they come back on, the Fiend is gone. 69 C+ got the crowd hotter. We advance the things that lurk in the dark storyline. Not bad, and we're starting to build a feud for the main event for NXT of Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor. Definitely something that we are going to use to kind of build up towards War Games pretty nicely. Afterwards, we have an interview. It does okay. Xavier Woods debuts and says he's back at NXT where he all started. He says he's going to prove tonight that he's not just a third wheel. He wants to prove on the hottest show that he's not the guy that's part of the Freebird rule. He's not the guy that's the hype man, but he's the man that can kind of clean up and actually win matches. And he wants to prove it at NXT. Does okay. He's definitely got a chip on his shoulder, and being isolated from the New Day is going to be an interesting dynamic for him. No improvements. Xavier came off well. Kathy Kelly performed poorly in this segment. So maybe I shouldn't have bothered putting her in. You'd figure she had 69 on microphone. You'd think as an interviewer, we that would work, but okay. Now, we do have some turns and stuff. We're not going to worry about that right now. Afterwards, we have a match between Johnny Gargano and Kushida. Subpar wrestling is interesting. And little heat. Gargano defeated Kushida in 7 minutes with pinfall with a quick roll-up. That seems wrong. Kushida at a 36 just doesn't seem right to me. Gargano at a 48 even seems low, especially when we are judging more on performance over popularity on this save right now. We did modify that a little bit. You'd think I question that rating. Maybe I'm biased, but I just think Kushida is one of the better junior heavyweight workers in New Japan. Not the best, certainly, but better than average. Seems a little low to me, but it's not it's weird. This is bad for us. Hints of a Johnny Gargano face turn got a poor reaction. As much as the crowd still remember his last turn, I don't want him heel, so I want to turn him face, and I don't care. We're going to continue after this, though, because he does have an angle here. Gargano says he's back to his old self, and he's looking for a road to redemption, and is then attacked by Roderick Strong from behind, the North American champion, kind of just stealing his spotlight, stealing his thunder. We continue the Undisputed Era storyline, and we are going to turn him, and this is not going to go well for us. This segment really sucks. 32E. Jeez. Man. All right. Complete the gimmick change. Awful. Oh. Not good. Not good at all. Oh, man. Promo. So we have the Dream comes out. Velveteen Dream says he's not deterred by his loss. Goes on to say that the belt doesn't make the man, it only holds up the pants. And he issues an open challenge for next week to prove that the hottest commodity in NXT isn't the belts here, but the talent. And offers an open wide challenge to anybody to come face the Dream one-on-one. Does okay. 48. Yeah. It's not much to say about it. I think he's a better mic worker than that. Not much better. But, overall, that's probably kind of what I was expecting. This match kind of expected a little bit more, too. It's a decent match. Matt Riddle defeats Xavier Woods in 18 minutes. A pinfall and a roll-up. Maybe too long. It was a flash pinfall. He had to be kept strong, and it is a storytelling match, so maybe a little bit too long for this. But Xavier had a 59. Riddle had a 55. We start the Count of Monte Fisto storyline, and so this is unfortunate for Woods. He came with that chip on his shoulder, and with a debut, loses his debut match. He wanted to prove that he's not just that third wheel, but he does not cinch the deal night one. And that's got to be bummer. That you wonder what's going to happen to a guy with that chip just growing and getting bigger and bigger. And obviously we do have a hint of a turn, but we're not going to go through with it. And post-match, Riddle offers a hand. Xavier looks mad and frustrated, but he reluctantly accepts and smiles. Still something in that back of his eyes, back in his head. And you can tell that something's brewing, something's just not right, something's building up. And who it will blow up on, what will happen, we don't know. But we're starting to build a story of a Xavier Woods that wanted to prove that he is as good as everybody else, constantly relegated to the side, to the manager role, but maybe not actually making it happen. And and losing. And what does that do to a guy? What does it do to the guy stripped away from his allies and left alone and forced to prove himself and maybe coming up short? And we'll have to see how that plays out later. We're going to continue. Okay, this ain't bad. In our co-main event, I suppose, because that's apparently a thing, Shayna Baszler fights Io Shirai in a championship match. It's a decent bout, but Shayna defeats Io Shirai in 13 minutes by stoppage when Io Shirai was injured and could not continue after dislocation of the arm. During the match, we also had Marina Shafir run in and attack Shirai. Baszler makes defense number 1, which is interesting. I would think it would be higher on here, but maybe the save doesn't have defense totals. Over NXT Women's title. Got the crowd buzzing. Actually blew off pretty nicely. 58 for Baszler, 56 for Shirai. Actually not too bad of a match. I think we had it booked as a car crash, and we scripted it out. Not bad. Not bad at all. The C- is pretty good. I think it's about as best as we're going to get out of that. For our main event, Finn fights Breeze. Despite Breeze's underwhelming performance, Baylor's really stood out. It's a good wrestling match, decent reaction from the crowd. Finn Balor defeats Tyler Breeze in 22 minutes by pinfall after 1916. Breeze is improving in Rumble and performance. Really carried him up. Almost kind of wish we're not playing performance-based, because I feel like a match like this would actually have boosted his popularity a lot, and people probably would have went from like a 46 to a 54 or something like that in terms of in-ring performance. Either way, our main event ends up being a 73, a B-. Can't complain about that. And of course, we end it with a final cut. Yeah. I don't really have a story for this. I just kind of want to complete this turn. Because Tyler Breeze should always be a male model and not a fun babyface, and he should always be bad. I don't care. Even when he was being cheered as the fashion police, he's still kind of a bad guy. And he works best there, and that's probably where we're going to utilize him as another gatekeeper. We're kind of, in a lot of ways, I guess how I'm booking this is kind of rebooting 2014 NXT, 2015 even NXT, which is some of my favorite of the brand. So, overall, it's not a bad way to go, I suppose. Ooh, great ending too. I think AEW's in trouble this week. We have, after the match, Finn leaves the ring only to be attacked. Did I just try to say distracted and attacked? That's what happens when you're filming this at 3 a.m. You start to lose it. So he's attacked by the Fiend, attacks him on the ramp, starts hitting him, laying him out, ends up Sister Abigail-ing him and leaving him on the hard metal grating of the rampway before vanishing, and thus finally kind of sparking the feud. Bray showed up, Baylor tried to protect people, and ultimately the Fiend found his target, and I think kind of realized that he couldn't run around and attack and destroy everybody until he really puts Baylor in the ground. And he might be the only thing kind of keeping him in check, I suppose. Does an 83, a B+. Baylor's not suited for his gimmick, which is... Strong night 2. 73, a B-. Increased our popularity in 14 regions. Looks like the pre-show does not affect us, which is good. But overall, holy crap, great showing. I doubt that they're going to have that good of a rating. So we'll really have to see where the viewership comes in. and see how that affects us. All right, so we got some stuff to look at here, but first let's check that rating and update the bar above us. So NXT Live has a 73 with a 1.47 broadcasting rating. Not bad. Almost basically about 1,100,000 viewers. So they had to beat 1.47 and a 73. Now we're rating it mostly off the show rating, but they will basically chip away at us if the broadcasting. I doubt that they're at a B. I really doubt that they're at that 73. But let's see what Wednesday Night Dynamite Night 2 looks like. Yeah, we crushed them. 1.30. We beat them in TV ratings. We beat them in show ratings. They had Ortiz defeat Nakazawa in a pre-show, Kazarian defeating Sabin, a skit with Cody and Taz, Sonny Kiss and defeating Cutler, Leva Bates defeating Riho. I wonder if that's for the belt. No title is involved. Confrontation involving Dustin Rhodes, Jericho, and Jon Moxley did very well. Penelope Ford defeating... See, that was probably their mistake there. That match probably is not the best there. And Pentagon Jr. And Jake Hager defeating the Young Bucks by DQ. Which is interesting. Does that mean the Young Bucks disqualified and end up hitting them? It's weird. Does a good match, though. But not enough, so we definitely go up a little bit on that bar there. And that also means, more importantly, that we don't have to worry about adding an extra McMahon to the Meddler. Now, we do have to go through the Meddler, though. So we do have 3, count them, 1, 2, well, where's the third? Oh, let's fix that real quick. And with the magic of editing, there we go. We do have 3 meddlers. So again, a little bit less, about 33% chance of hitting it for the most part. So feeling pretty safe, but that doesn't mean we're out of the water. So even if we won, it doesn't mean that he can't kind of poke his nose in the thing and give us some bad ideas. Oh, whew, that was close. That could have been real bad for us, especially with us on the up right now. Getting a meddling could have been real rough. So we don't have to worry about that. That is good news for us. Let's go ahead and check over here real quick if there's anything involving us. There's an incident involving Matt Riddle. It's been identified as a soft drug user. Yeah. It literally, I really don't, it's fine. I don't care. Production change, nothing important there. Now, we also probably should be looking at this news feed just to see what they're doing. Prince Nana, John Layfield, really? All right, sure. And Taz, because this will be kind of how we find out what's going on week to week, is being able to actually see their news feed. Very weird signings there. Taz actually makes sense, but JBL is a little odd for commentary, but whatever. So not bad. I think we did okay. All things considered. Now I'm going to try to not reuse the same people, because that would be a little easy with some of them. We're going to try to use some of that roster. Now it doesn't seem like doesn't seem like anyone's really upset about being left off, I think, for the most part. No inciting incidents or anything like that, I think. Because I think it's a TV show, they don't really care. It's really just the events that they care about. I think that's how that works. So for the most part, they'll be okay. But we do have to worry about, as the events come up, how do we utilize that massive bloated roster. But, you know, maybe we can do something. All right, guys, that is it for me today. That was NXT Live Episode 2 in the bag for the Wednesday Night Wars. Hope you liked it. I'll see you next time.